Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5 XRT. Down below is a completely electric drivetrain. The Ioniq line from Hyundai has been their all-electric line. There's the Ioniq 5, which is this, the Ioniq 6, which is a sedan, and now the Ioniq 9, which is their 3-row SUV. Now the XRT of this is their off-road trim level. They offer it on a couple of vehicles like the Santa Fe and the new Palisade. And so now the Ioniq 5 gets the XRT treatment, and that is why I'm super excited to be driving it. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackbradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to Gerald Hyundai in North Aurora for letting me borrow the XRT for today's video. More on them towards the end, but if you'd like to browse their inventory, you can do so down in the description below. But let's get back to that all-electric drivetrain. Well, this uses the standard Ioniq 5 drivetrain. Now, there is the Ioniq 5N. That puts out way more horsepower. This is just the standard drivetrain, and it gets about 259 miles of range, which is relatively passable. I'm always looking for that 300 number, but this is pretty close. Now, for the XRT, it does get a couple of different parts, like different tires and wheels. It gets a slight suspension lift and retuning, and we'll talk about cosmetics later, but driving experience is pretty similar to the standard Ioniq 5. However, the suspension is a little bit softer, so going over bumps, going over rougher terrain is a slightly better experience than the standard Ioniq 5. Is it worlds apart? Is one a cloud and one a concrete bed? No, but this does feel a lot better, especially on the rougher terrain. Visibility is pretty good out of this vehicle, nothing really to report there. And of course, it's an EV, so it's silent. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a completely digital gauge cluster. Again, same that you would find in the standard Ioniq 5, nothing really new here. But I like it, it's clean and simple, and what Hyundai has implemented for 2025 is the fact that with the range estimate, it will tell you a maximum and a minimum. It used to not do this in the past, and it was kind of frustrating, so I think that this is a really good help. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have our adaptive cruise control options, as well as our selector for that gauge cluster screen. And we have our drive modes. So we do have Sport, Normal, and Eco. However, down in the center of the steering wheel, you will see a terrain mode for snow, mud, and sand. Absolutely love that, and you'll see the center of the steering wheel actually change color for which mode you're going into. Very, very cool. Off to the left, we do have our gauge dimmer switch, traction control off, rear tailgate release, charge door release, auto holding brake, and power parking brake. And moving onto the door, we have the latch to get in and out, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. This does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Nothing really too crazy beyond that, but I like the way that this screen is set up. It's pretty easy to navigate, and I think the colors are relatively attractive. It's not super in your face, and it's not blinding at night, which is a huge, huge win. More of a win than you might think. Down below, we have 2 climate vents and the hazard switch. We do have a backup camera as well as a 360 camera. Definitely very nice to see a 360 camera, and very, very helpful. Then we get some buttons for our radio and media, seek track, things like that. But then we get touch buttons for the climate controls. We get dual zone climate. We could do driver only to help conserve power, because this does cause a relatively decent draw on the standard climate controls from the battery. But they're laid out evenly, and they don't go away, which I love to see. Down below, we do have a USB for either charging or media and charging. You actually get to select that. You have a 12-volt outlet, a little cubby, and then moving up to this center console, we have a wireless charger and cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the XRT. And unfortunately, it fails. A lot of Hyundais in this modern era do, however, this does not. Then we do have our heated seats, heated steering wheel, parking camera button, and parking sensors button. And then we get a center console that does open up for a little bit of storage. The seats are nice and comfortable. They are leather, and they have XRT embossed into them, help you feel a little bit more special here in your Ioniq 5, and we'll talk a lot about that later on. But they're comfortable enough for a bigger guy like me. They work, and I'm not complaining. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, we're in the back of the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5 XRT, and a couple of things to note. First of all, these seats are reclined quite a bit, which is very, very nice. However, I can bring them back up. There we go. That's a little bit more normal. I do have heated seats back here, which is lovely. I have vents in the B-pillars. I get a light, which, there we go. 2 USB-Cs down here. And it does say XRT on the rear doors, something that Hyundai did not have to add into the car, but they did. It still says XRT on the back to remind even your backseat occupants that you're in something a little bit different and a little bit more special. I fit back here fantastically. My knees have 8 inches before hitting the seat in front of me. My head is not hitting the ceiling. I'm 5'11", not a small guy. The interior packaging of the Ioniq 5 has always been very good, whether that is the N, the Limited that I've driven, or now the XRT. They're all fantastic. However, speaking of space and packaging, let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. Right around the back of the Ioniq 5 XRT, little release handle right here. Love these rear lights as well. And once we are back here, nothing too crazy. We have our charging cord and whatnot. This is for the first owner, and some adapters that we'll talk about in a second. We do get a 12-volt outlet down there, and if we pull this up, we get a tiny little bit of storage. We have a tire mobility kit, but no spare tire. Over here, you have this little door that if you open up and pull that sort of magenta cord, that will unlock a stuck charger. Always good to know where that is. But speaking of the charger, over here, we do have the North American Standard port. So this is updated for the 2025 Ioniq 5 and now 2026 Ioniq 9. The Ioniq 6 still has yet to get this, but this is the new North American Standard port, which is very nice to see. However, coming up to the front, we do have a frunk. So unlatch it like a regular hood. Now, don't expect a whole lot, but you do get a little frunk. It's not a whole lot of space, but it's something. A lot of vehicles, like the Mini Countryman I just reviewed, does not have a frunk, so very nice that at least you get something. You can put the charger up here, or maybe some valuables or whatnot. So very, very cool, very simple. There it is. Now we got to talk about the looks, and this obviously is another big change for the XRT. You get these sort of digital camouflage fenders, you get a different front bumper, you get the red recovery hooks, the different wheels and tires. This does look a little bit more special than the standard Ioniq 5. So I really, really like that. I've always thought that the Ioniq 5 is a pretty good looking vehicle, and I think this pushes it a little bit further, which we'll talk about with the final thoughts, but it is fun. This is a fun trim level of the Ioniq 5 and makes you feel just a little bit more special. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Hyundai Ioniq 5 XRT? Well, I have had the opportunity to drive this off-road. Unfortunately, it was at an event and I wasn't able to film it, but I was able to drive it on some gravel roads. It is very, very fun. I think this looks cool. I think it is a very fun trim level of the Ioniq 5, and this is what I've been hoping for when it comes to EVs. I said this with my Mini Countryman review, but I think EVs should be fun, and I don't think enough companies are really leaning into that. Because of the capabilities of EVs, the sort of skateboard layout and how you could basically plop any body you want on top of them, they should be weird and fun and interesting. We should see double-decker EVs and square ones, circle ones, oval ones, rhombus ones. We should see EVs in every shape and size that the human brain can physically comprehend. And while I know we're a little ways away from that, I think the Ioniq 5 XRT is sort of inching towards it. This is different and weird. If you want the Ioniq 5, that's great. It's a great product. Now let's have fun with it. Hyundai has established themselves as top quality EV producers. I love the Ioniq 6, I love the Ioniq 5, and I love the Ioniq 9. So now that that base has been built, the foundation has been poured and set, now it's time to start twisting the knobs. Let's see it go up to 11. Let's see what the capabilities of the platform are. They have a sporty track version, the Ioniq 5N. Now they have this off-road version. Give us an Ioniq 5 El Camino. Give us an Ioniq 5 convertible. Give us an Ioniq 5 3-row. Stretch it out. Make it the Ioniq 5L. Do a 6-wheeled Ioniq 5. Why not? It's just motors and cords. And so I love seeing that Hyundai is starting to sort of push the boundaries. Where can we take the Ioniq 5 name is what they're asking themselves. What can we do with it? And so I'm so excited. Not only that this car exists, I like it. I like driving it. It's a good car. But I like that Hyundai is getting out of their comfort zone. 20 years ago, Hyundais were these drab little economy cars. And now these are stylistic moments in time. And I like that. I like that they're pushing the envelope. I like that they're just building weird, cool things. And this is one of them, and I think this is a really good product underneath. It's not cool and weird to be cool and weird. It is awesome, a great product that happens to be cool and weird. That is what I love so much about this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Gerald Hyundai here in North Aurora for letting me borrow their Ioniq 5 XRT for today's video. They have been absolutely wonderful to work with. I always appreciate them. They have great customer service, and I would highly recommend checking them out with the link down in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.